Hello, friends. This is the AlphaList podcast. I am your host, Toby. The goal of the AlphaList podcast is to empower CTOs with the info and insight they need to make the best decisions for their company. We do this by hosting top thought leaders and picking their brains for insights into technical leadership and tech trends. If you believe in the power of accumulated knowledge to accelerate growth, make sure to subscribe to this podcast. Plus, if you're an experienced CTO, you will love the discussion happening in our Slack space where over 600 CTOs are sharing insights, or visit one of our events. Just go to alphalist.com to apply. Welcome to the AlphaList podcast. I'm your host, Toby, and my guest today once spent his nights diffusing storage fires for NetApp customers and his days persuading Fortune 100 CISOs that graphs beat SQL. Now he's steering Wiz Product Infra inside Google's $32 billion embrace. Solal Raveh, welcome.
Thank you very much, Toby. Happy to be here.
So in the pre-discussion, I just learned that the acquisition is actually not through. So you're hoping for it to finish, and it's like, I guess the government still has to agree, or what's happening there?
Governments are taking their time having a quick look into it, but we hope it's going to be closed within a few months.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money, right? So and a lot of power, I guess. I don't know how big you are, but whenever Google buys something for that amount of money, it takes a while, right? We start with explaining what Wiz actually is and what makes it special. Like, why does Google buy it, or did Google buy it, or Google tries to buy it for $32 billion? Could you quickly explain that?
Yeah, so I'll start with the second bit actually on why would they buy it. I think a lot of it is not what we do is only one in a lifetime. It's something that is mainly around people. So what they buy here is not necessarily the product, but it's the minds and the hearts of people that are building what they do best. And that's what they're investing in. But regarding what we are doing and how did they come to a point that they decided to acquire us, we started around 5 years ago, trying to shift the problem into actual easy solutions in cloud security. Cloud security is a very wide umbrella with a lot of different acronyms that fall into one acronym to rule them all. But what we do try to solve is when companies embrace moving the workloads into the cloud more and more in the last few years, it's to give them an easy way of risk calculation, risk analysis of what they do deploy in the cloud, anywhere from when they design the product in their code on their laptops and all the way to when it's deployed in their cloud infrastructure. And while doing so, also democratizing the way the actual developers build and see and find out what the solutions are. So it's easy to find out, and it's also through gamifications, etc. So everybody can see their own little piece of land when it comes to owning their part of the company or the product, and not leaving it in the hands of a smaller closed team that then gives order into what needs to be fixed. So the idea is showing risk assessments throughout the stack when you deploy into cloud environments, but also giving full access to the people who actually need to see and fix it.
Is it like an agent that runs on each of your instances and in each of the containers that then monitors what is happening and what kind of infrastructure you're running and what you're deploying? Or is it also like kind of pivoting into the application itself and observing that? Or like how does that work?
So I'll say yes, and yes. But
yes, and yes.
So the way we do it full stack is we start all the way from the beginning with an agentless scan. So we map everything in your cloud environment, whether it's on-prem, one of the CSPs, the classical ones, Azure, GCP, AWS, etc. We scan via APIs only, so it's agentlessly done. Map the compute resources, the supporting resources, the network that you have there. In said way, we also fetch all of your workload data, scan it to find any secrets lying within, technologies distributed in them, vulnerabilities stemming from them, malware instances, etc. All of that is put into a graph database, which gives us an easy way to map and visualize relationships between objects. So it's not a lot of tabular views. So putting it on a map basically shows you what risks lie, or even the basic is what does your environment look like. This is all done agentlessly. When you ask about agents is where we take it to the next level deeper to give us twofold. One is the ability to do runtime protection inside your workload and not just statically analyzing what's inside it when it's running. So that's looking into actual runtime protection and processes and outbound network. But what we also benefit from it is validation. So everything we computed based on what we saw you have in runtime with the agent that you mentioned, we can also validate it. So that agent we name the sensor, the we sensor, and it takes the findings that we do have and also validates them. So we get twofold validation of the risk analysis and also looking into actual defend of such workloads. But you also mentioned code. You also looked at the application at the end when you asked. And application eventually maps to what comes out at the end when it comes to a deployed resource. So what we do as part of it is also give the tools for the developers to scan it as they build, so we can map what application components, what code pieces they have ready to be deployed, whether if it's infrastructure as code, so how the infrastructure is defined before it's deployed, but also analyzing the actual application statically and dynamically, so we can show the what if game. What's going to happen when you do deploy it, but then also show you the full circle, which we call code to cloud or code to cloud to code, closing a full circle of if you fix one issue in your code, in your application at the beginning of your development, how it's going to fan out and fix a lot of risks that you do have in the deployed environment. So it's not necessarily playing a whack-a-mole in a live game in the actual deployed environment, but it's also showing you the one small fix you can do early on to eliminate all of this.
To prevent something happening. Like your static analysis also goes as deep as like finding, I don't know, credentials in code, etc. I guess like that's standard.
It goes into finding credentials, secrets, and how they map into actual attack paths. So it's not just saying that you do have a credential. It's saying you have a credential. This is where it's distributed. This is the person who checked it in. But also, where does it connect based on the first scanning I mentioned? So we can say that secret that lies in your code then gives you access to an admin account in AWS that then can do bad things in your account. So we show you the actual lateral movement paths, assuming you continue deploying.
So I can now like visualize on my mind that big graph that basically tracks all the CI items, let's say. How do you control the size of the nodes? Like, how do you explain what is dramatic and what is not? And how do you like move the stuff in my face that needs to be in my face?
So all of those disparate issues, let's call them disparate findings, can and cannot be critical to you from an atomic point of view. It's a matter of opinions as far as I see it. Even a critical vulnerability 9.9 CVSS, I would ask you, Toby, is it critical for you or not? It's 9.9. Should you fix it now? Should you care? Should you go back to sleep? The question is, it depends. And what it depends on is what is the risk around it. So if you do have a 9.9 with an ability to do remote code execution, but it's on an image that is never being used, never being deployed, then I would say go back to sleep, fix it tomorrow and next sprint. But if we, based on that graph, show you that CVSS is then fanning out deployed into 10,000 VMs or containers, out of which about 10% are live, and out of which 10 more percent are connected to the internet. So now you do care about that RC because we calculated a path from the internet. And we also did a validation. We showed you a screenshot or an SSH output that it is open from the internet. And then we do the extra risk calculations with the additional indicators we have. Does it have additional data access? Does it have lateral movement capabilities? And the more it has, the more critical it becomes, and the more it shows up the list that you need to fix. So we do show you like the one you need to focus on right now. The rest can wait for the sprint.
Okay, cool. I have to try it out. I think feels a bit like I don't know, for non-security people and engineers, a bit like the New Relic moment, right? When you for the first time use something like New Relic or Datadog, you must spot a lot. Maybe before we talk about how you stay innovative and your approach to incubation. I'd first like to know a bit more personal, a bit step back. What was the very first moment when you like kind of stumbled into computing, like your nerd path? Like, what was the first hack or line of code that made you think, "Whoop, I really like computers, and this is where I stay"?
I think that was a long while ago when screens were green and you had the nets on them because your mom told you that it's bad for your eyes. That was roughly 30 years ago. First line of code was in assembly, feeling that I can hack the Pentagon by changing one bit and trying to do so. And eventually what you do is trying to cheat in a snake game. Because of that, and your friends don't know. That was sort of for me the aha moment of, wow, this is cool, this is fun, I can actually enjoy doing that, and I did. It all started from there, but then it wasn't immediate. I was never only solely into that as part of hobbies. What I did like doing is having it as always as like a side parallel project to my hobbies. Hobbies were anything from rugby to swimming, and then coding and doing that as basically was a fun bit next to it. But that was sort of the aha moment when it said, this is cool, this is fun. And it sort of was a very long standing hobby until I really got into it in my 20s when it came to automating stuff, because I'm lazy and I hate doing stuff twice. So I prefer spending 5 more hours or 5x more time automating something for a task that takes fifth of the time, because that's the right thing to do, right? So I'll spend the time coding it even though it burns more time, because that's the fun part, just in case somebody needs to do it again in the future.
The good old engineering laziness that we all that's the reason why we're all here, right?
Spend more time because it's better.
Same for me. And then you spent a lot of time in like close to customer roles, right?
That is correct. So I really love being next to customers, either physically in the field in go-to-market, working with customer on sites, or remotely by helping them solve really disparate escalations of stuff that nobody can fix, and you're the last guy that can fix it. That was always interesting, one from a tech challenge, to be the one that gets to fix something, but also people. Eventually, I don't like hiding behind the screen. A lot of engineers like it, and they work more in roles that suit them, like in R&D, being the best developers out there. But I really like working with people. I like learning how people do things, not necessarily how they technically write it, but how do they approach a problem, and why do they do it, and who they are. So most of the roles, if not all of them, that you'll see in my history is around people. So that's the core of what I do.
So does that mean, like, I mean, your title is CTO Product Infrastructure. Does that mean that the product is what you would put in bold letters if you could, or so because you talk a lot to customers and then know what they need, and spend a lot of time on shaping the product, or what are you doing day to day?
So I'll dive deeper a little bit into how we split the CTO office and what I take care of on day to day. So CTO Product Infrastructure, I report to our co-founder CTO Ami, that basically overarches all of research and technology at the company when it comes to a strategy. But since we grew so rapidly, so much over the last few years, we did split it into about 3 or 4 tracks technology-wise of owning and looking into foresights into our technology in said path. And the path I take care of is the product infra. So basically, I'll call it the non-sexy value features, which is not the value drivers to sell the product, like how do we do the actual scanning or how do we defend in runtime, which we have tracks for that as well for CTOs that own it. But it's looking at the infrastructure and how do we make sure that the end solution that customers use is enterprise ready, and how do we make sure it meets any scale and size from an average lawyer firm and up to the largest CSP out there. So we need to make sure that it's enterprise ready. And what does that mean is anything around product infra includes API infrastructure, which we use GraphQL, all of our integrations, both outbound and inbound, the way we do the scanning, the actual connectors we have in place to talk to those CSPs, AWS, Azure, GCP, and so forth, and fetch them in a scalable manner so we can do it on the nth customer, not only the 10th one. Remediation and response as an infrastructure piece that runs on customer environments to let them in automatic fashion remediate and respond to threats so they don't need to do it on their own, and a couple more items. And all of that is around the product infra. And you also mentioned incubation, Toby, quickly over there. And also the way we do it is we learn by doing. So historically, I did most of these parts to take care of their technology, but we have a team in CTO that report for me that do that. So we have a person, the best out there, that does RBAC and login experience. We have the best person out there that does remediation and response based on his development advocacy days. We have the best one out there for API native cloud providers. And how do we fetch them? So the way we look into it is each and every one needs to be a CTO of their own castle. They all work together in their atomic domains, and they all together build the product infrastructure acumen. Does it make sense?
That absolutely makes sense. And the actual, so that's the CTO office, and the actual delivery org is like totally independent of that, or?
So these days it is, but the merit of CTO I think is threefold. One is foresight into technology, which we do day in, day out. Second is the gray area. Anything that nobody's sure who needs to do or wants to do, CTO is the place that needs to do it. We'll take all of the gray area because we have the acumen, we have the hunger to POC solutions or novel technologies, and then get them to work, and then implement them and hand them over to R&D. And threefold is creating teams in the best way we can. So incubation is part of it, delivery is part of it. Historically, we did all. We were support engineers, we were delivery engineers, we were sales engineers, and somewhat also product. The reason we did it is we wanted to do it the best technical fashion we can, learn from it, become said role as part of it, and then hire the best people that match that persona to build a team to do that sole purpose, put the processes and everything we need around it, and then hand them over to the owner and go to market that then scales them out. So that's a lot of incubations we did have to do as part of it. So we were, to your question, also delivery engineers for a time.
Okay, so you worked in support a few years back, for example, to basically master that once, and then hire the best support people you could find. And if I understood correctly, and today, how does that differ? I mean, I guess the company is kind of feature complete now, as you've been acquired for quite a good amount of money. I mean, you're never feature complete, right? But I guess you have a running support org, a running sales org, a running product org, etc. How did this incubation bit change, and what do you do now?
Yeah, that's an excellent one, actually, Toby. So the incubation still exists. It's just in a different form. We moved from incubating teams to have the best team out there to incubating POCs, incubating proofs of concept. So you said we have all of the features out there, but it's never true. You always build the new features based on new problems that exist, but also connecting features together and doing said POCs. And what we do here is an example, just looking at Shai Hulud yesterday, the NPM package exploit, that the entire industry came together again to try and isolate it as fast as we can from all outs of the network. But one of the basic examples we released for users as part of that, and it was all running in CTO and then moved out to teams to actually release it, was how do we take all of those indicators to show a customer quickly within 1 hour of a blog being out that they have something in their environment or not, and what does that mean? And AI is part of it, and I'm quite surprised we didn't say AI until now.
I was thinking about it, but
AI is a part of it, and we have our own AI in-product AI agent that doesn't go and checks the internet and asks basic questions like other LLMs. It works based on the data in your tenant and the information about your infrastructure, and you can ask it questions if you're not sure where to go in the product. So taking Shai Hulud's example yesterday as an incubation POC for a solution, we build tools to work with that AI agent that runs in the portal for the customer to use to basically ask, hi, ask Mika, which is the name of our AI agent, do I have any of this Shai Hulu, I'm not sure how it's called, quote, in my environment, what do I need to do? And then what it does is it looks on the threat advisory we've released, it looks at your infrastructure, it looks at the packages deployed or about to be deployed everywhere in your environment that you are using and have Wiz connected to, correlates the information so you don't need to do it yourself, and shows you the actual places where it's at, and then suggests the remediation. So one simple question, LLM walking behind it to factually look at your environment and show you where it is. So you don't need to do manual analysis, even though the data is there. So this was end-to-end done within 2.5, 3 hours. As a POC, once we saw it working, hand it over to product to tidy up the loose edges, work with R&D to release it, and done. Midday yesterday, 12 noon Central, it was out, customers could use it. So that's an example of incubations we have now. Some of them are more long running, some of them are more like a task force because of an industry-wide incident. People
external factors.
Exactly. So we can be very agile in such incubations, but the point is we move from incubating teams, we morph the team to focus more on the technology side of it and incubate ideas and proofs of concept.
Okay, maybe we touch that later. But you just came up with one example, which I think, like many of us saw and are feeling right now. I'm curious what the 3 security big bangs in the last few years that really changed the way you design software were, and what single lesson did each of them tattoo onto your brain?
I think in all of them, it starts with the same lesson, which is how do I map the unknown unknowns? Do I need to be scared of something or not? I think all of them have the same, in my idea, the same commonality into what led them to be a bang. One of them is novel modern vulnerability scanning. The second is how do I look at entities, identities, because it's still a work in progress, but shifting mindsets and conceptions that users all around the world have, that exposure is only via network and that's it. I plugged in my firewall, I have my proxies, I have my NAT gateways, I'm closed, I'm done, is not right anymore. Most exploits we have these days are because of credential theft or identity leakage, not network. Because hackers know how the cloud infra looks like. It's public. It's the same for everyone. It's a matter of how you configure it. So it's not the network anymore. It's identities now. And the third is data/AI together. Because they roughly have the same issues, like where is my data? Where is my model? Does it have private information in it? PII, PCI, PHI, etc. Same for training data for LLMs. and who is using them. Like, are they in the wild? Are people doing shadow IT, shadow AI? And so those are the three ones of shifts in how we see users wanting to find issues and finding the fixes for them, and doing it in an easy way, so unknown unknowns don't occur anymore. So I think those are the main three.
But what were the big happenings that you really remember from the last years? I guess, I mean, you mentioned Log4Shell. What happened? What happened at Wiz when Log4Shell hit? And what do you remember from that?
What I remember from Log4Shell, in like the biggest tattoo on my brain, as you mentioned, is the importance to find quickly how everything is affected in my entire environment. And legacy solutions could have taken, even if they got to the full answer, weeks, if not more, because you need to have somehow full coverage to even answer where am I affected. You are blind when you're not deployed, and agents need to be deployed to give you answers, but you can never get to 100% coverage. While the way we do it in both hybrid cloud and public cloud is the agentless approach for the basics, that gives you within minutes or hours, depending on how huge you are, a full answer on your question, because you don't need to have that coverage, because it's API driven. So the aha moment for a lot of customers also, where we handed out customer tenants for free so they can just see that they're okay or where do they need to fix. The aha moment for them was, oh wow, that took 1 hour for me to connect and get answers and know where do I need to pause everything and focus on. Not just because they have a million instances of Log4Shell, but out of said million, which will take 10 sprints to fix, only 10 of them were ones they need to pause everything and focus on right now because of risk assessments and telling them what are the most critical ones.
Is that actually the best strategy to sell security products, to basically like give it out for free if something happens? Or
I don't think it's a strategy. It's more of a camaraderie. At least that's how we approached it and why we decided on doing that in Log4Shell, because we were all in the same place. We also were dogfooding Wiz to see that we are not affected by it. We have a Wiz for Wiz instance that basically monitors the environment we have for the same thing. So our CISO, our CTO, are the customer zeros for that sole purpose. So in that instance, it was for camaraderie, because there was a lot of confusion, a lot of people running scared and not knowing if the company is impacted and what they need to do. So it was pitching in for the community. If at the end you would buy or not buy wasn't like a prerequisite for you using the pro bono. A lot of deals did come from it, to be honest, but it wasn't the driver. If you didn't buy, which happened. We know that we helped the community fix what they needed to fix. They couldn't afford it, and then they were done. So that is also fine. But I think the actual driver is, how do we make it look not scary? And since then, that's the growth marketing team that we built up. We have people that can speak better to it than me, but I think getting people to know what we do and what the problem is, especially before the Google acquisition news days, that people didn't know what Wiz is or what is it about. It's how do we get to people and explain, not in a scary fashion like black on white and red, but more in nice, appealing colors and visualizations and gamifications of what we do, for them to actually get interested. And there are a lot of ways in doing it. It's in growth marketing, and we have a lot of amazing people that can speak to it. But I think that's for 3 years now, the proof that we have of how you should do it right when it comes to selling your product.
I think that's really key, because I think it can be a nightmare to sell security products, right? Like it like people only realize that they need your product when it's too late in most cases, right? And trying out a product early and being able to understand, like, will it bring value also through some like low-hanging fruits potentially is, I think, really key, right?
I agree. So part of it is also seeing examples in RSA conference in the first 2 years and the last 3 years of how does our boot look like, not just by visualization, but the amount of people around it at any given moment. And I think at the beginning, when they didn't know us and we didn't have the marketing team we have these days in the last few years, people didn't know what we do. So it was an average boot like everyone else. It wasn't small on traffic, it wasn't high on traffic, it was average. But since we started with the language we have now, of the colors of how we gamify, and we do CISOtopia, the online shop for CISOs with actual products you can buy, like squishy toys, single pane of glasses, and the sensor, etc., which are very cool and fun. Then it actually gets to people because it's interesting. Nobody did it before. Nobody looks at a security solution as something nice to actually look at and view, and it's not scary anymore. So now booths at Wiz, even before the acquisition, were always full because it was the standout in the crowd. In a scary conference about security and issues and risky stuff, and then the one standing out appealed people to come in and hear you. And then once they do come to hear you, it's the gamification I mentioned on how do we not just walk you through a demo that has a very specific path to take you through it, but like in one screen, 10 seconds, show you like a funnel of everything wrong in your environment into the one fix. Just pinpoint, show you, and you got them.
And how do you then help the CTO to explain it to the CFO to not get pushback? Because I expect it to be not the cheapest solution on the market. I don't know why.
Yeah, so in this case, I think seeing is believing, and in most cases, put Log4Shell aside, which was also like 4 years ago, or just less than that. Put that aside. It's easy to explain because you're not waiting with Wiz until after you had such issue. You want to plan ahead of it, and usually to give an excuse, so to speak, for buying a security solutions, you need to show ROIs and statistics and how over time it can solve and replace tools, which you also need to do here. But it's easy to explain because you just show it in one screen, and also to the CFO when you say, see, Wiz showed us in 1 hour of a POV that all of this is wrong and we never fixed it in 10 years. We never knew about it. Now they showed us what we need to do, and while we're fixing it, we want to buy it. I think showing is believing, and that's also our approach for democratizing. I repeat the word democratizing, and the idea behind it is, again, not just for the CISO and the SecOps team or the security team, but it's for everyone at the company, because it's also not charged by seats. It's for everyone in the company to get the actual use of it and look at what they own so they can fix it. So you fix quickly and you make sure that you have closed loops in your environment quickly. And ROI would basically, quadruple and as you fix and you use more people.
But still, it's a bit like selling vaccines, right? So
also true. You could argue that vaccines shouldn't be used because it's like a pre-medicine for something that didn't happen yet. But would you like to be on the news if you didn't use it? I think if you build something properly, it's not about having the best looking product for your end customers to use. It's making sure that they continue trusting you because that's your reputation. So a lot of companies' values are reputation built, and you don't want to send it down the drain because something might happen. So that's the thing that accompanies it.
Okay. You mentioned that you learned a lot from early failures and also made them public. What are your biggest failures as Wiz, and what did you learn from them?
My personal ones? I think biggest one, and I also spoke to it in front of a couple of university events for students, BSc students, were around how we failed on scaling a global CTO team. And basically, it started when I joined Wiz, still back in the days when I was the first European employee back in Amsterdam. And we wanted to grow the CTO team to be a clone, a replica, a global one in Europe. And then once that works, build a replica, another clone one in America, and then APAC. And the idea behind it was continuity and scale. But basically, we got the idea. That's what we wanted to do. What is the first thing you go and do? You go and hire locally. And what we or I personally saw there, which didn't work, is when we focus in CTO in technology roles on region rather than acumen, didn't work out. So I hired for the fact we wanted to, or decided back then, to clone regionally, which unlike go to market in technology, we learned it doesn't suit the role, and it didn't work. We had a lot of people that were dissatisfied, not doing the best technology role they want to do. There are duplications and so forth, and we quickly pivoted. What we did is look for what domains do we want to cover, like experts in container security, experts in RBAC and login infrastructure, API infrastructure, experts in agents, and how is it best deployed, because we went into runtime protection. And we took the best technology people in said areas globally, regardless of whether they are. So we have a CTO team here in Israel, we have a CTO members in the Netherlands, UK, Spain, East Coast, West Coast USA, and also in Japan and Australia. So we look for the best of specific personas, like ex co-founder CTOs that knows how to build and get their hands dirty and want to continuously learn and fix technology. But we don't care where they are. They can be here close to engineering. They can be in the US. It doesn't matter. We want the best. And that was the quick pivot we had early on in this failure, to understand that what we need to do is basically that, is get the best technologists out there, not have a clone because we want to do regional. So we decided to say it's a failure quite fast, like within months. So we don't just continue doing what we said we're going to do. And that basically proved itself since until today.
So you're fully remote, basically, and still have local CTO teams. They basically are rather individuals than teams necessarily on the ground, because you don't hire locally anymore.
That is correct. So we do have centers like Tel Aviv, London, New York, which at least for engineering and product, we try to collate them somehow around those hubs. But CTO are everywhere, because CTOs also have a lot of outbound to customers. And that's also what I mentioned about what I like doing best. Apologies. And that's for talking to the actual customers, reaching out to CTOs, CISOs, and the actual security engineers, talking to developers, learning what their challenges are, what they would prefer doing to actually mitigate said challenges, and then learning from them, and then going back, building a POC, working with product, designing the feature. So it doesn't matter if they sit next to product engineering in one of the three centers, because the end of the day is for them to interact with the people, which are everywhere.
So it means that you also still talk a lot to customers then these days, or basically every CTO team member does.
Yes, every single one of them isn't waiting for inbound reaches, but is actively looking at what can we do differently, what are challenges, so we can always think about foresight into the next technology we want to build, the next solution we want to have, which is better for the actual day-to-day.
Okay, so that basically means you're really shaping the product. And do you have a product org which runs independent of that, or like only a delivery org?
We do. So we have a product organization that works a lot on inbound, on requests, on features, and is working internally to decide how the product strategy is looking like based on our co-founder VP product. But it counts on the CTO organization quite a lot, not only for architecture and technology, working hand in hand, but also on our conversations with customers on what is the technological problem they have, working on a POC of what it should be like, and then translating the need from a technological problem to a product need. And then the product usually takes it as a feature end to end and works with engineering to deliver it.
Okay, understood. And if you'd say that like the CTO team would be metrics driven, what would be the three numbers that you would look at, or you actually look at every Monday?
So that's actually a fun one, because historically we always had issues with looking at metrics in CTO. And I'll just be honest. I always am blatantly honest, even if it's not nice to hear. And the reason is we build technologies, and unlike a finished feature where you know how much users are using it, you know how much problem it solved, and so forth. When you incubate or work on a POC, or you reach out to customers, what do you measure? So it's always a work in progress and something we morph, and it changes over time. But I'll give you an example of one of the metrics that we now have, but again, it might change in the future as we evolve. And it's looking at how many escalations of issues the field that we incubated in the past couldn't solve, and why, and over time, so we can avoid them getting forward. Another one is how many of these actually utilize the support AI bot we've built that looks at the collected support dependencies package and collateral that came from the customer automatically when they open the ticket. How did the support bot take all of that information to analyze and pinpoint and successfully give the engineer a solution before even seeing that the ticket was opened? So looking at how can we solve at scale is another metric. So it doesn't involve humans. So we can focus on the interesting bits and not, reactiveness. And another metric which we put out there mainly for showing we are enterprise proof is P99 percentiles. And there are different kinds of them. Either performance driven, like what's the P99 for user access in microseconds, P99s for amount of failed scans in pipelines, and so forth. But it's deciding on what is the P99 we should never cross when it comes to an infra-driven solution as a metric. So we track those to see that we always have a well-functioning SaaS solution. So those are the current ones. But again, there were previous ones. It morphs as the team morphs as well.
Okay. Absolutely makes sense. If you would like zoom out a bit to the time when you joined with 60 people, what is the one thing you'd wish back to have now, basically in a let's say a bigger grown corporation where you maybe don't have that freedom to, I don't know, build teams every day, etc. What would be the thing you would change and wish back?
That's always a fun one, I'll be honest. I think partly is having the ability to incubate more, because you don't need to just incubate teams, right? But it's a fun process because you also learn a lot about yourself as a person while incubating, because you don't come to that process knowing the solution. You learn while doing. I didn't know how to build a delivery team when I started. I knew how to build an escalation engineering team in support, but not a delivery team. But still, we did it. So it's having more opportunities like these, like we had in the beginning where they didn't exist. This is one. And second is, at the beginning, since we were everything in CTO, we were, as you mentioned, support engineers, delivery engineers, and everything, developers as well, is having the time, the capacity to also do more end-to-end POCs on your own. And I think everybody wishes to do so. But I think at my point specifically is not just letting the people grow, but I really miss doing it myself more and more. Like stopping for a second, taking half a day, and just POCing something from scratch, showing that a product piece works, and then making it happen, giving it to customers. That's something personally I miss from the beginning, because now we have a full large team in CTO that does that. So they enjoy it, but I miss doing it myself as well.
Solal wants to learn again.
Me too.
Good. Slowly coming to the end, I have a little surprise for you. I have a new car, which is an old DeLorean. I guess you know that one. Like imagine I give it to you for a day. And I mean, I bought tons of Bitcoin in 2011, etc. Now, you can do the same. I give it to you for one day, and you travel back to the time when you were working at NetApp in 2011, seconds before your first nasty Ceph1. Which sentence would you whisper into young Solal's ears back then, if you could?
Wow. 2011. What do I whisper? Do it again. Don't think twice. No, but jokes aside, that's the easy one. I would say focus more on people. It's fun to learn, but it's nicer to learn from others, not just try it yourself. And I liked automating a lot. Everything that led me to today was working on automations, as I said, from the laziness engineering part. But I think it's walking closer to people like customers, and understanding what they do, what moves and drives them. So it always accompanies me, but not in the same capacity I would have wished.
Thank you, Solal. Very good.
Thank you very much as well, Toby.
Working with people is one thing that many engineers have to actually learn throughout the time, right? But you seem to have a good setup for that, especially now when you're grown, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a great day, and I hope to see you soon. Maybe at one of our events in the near future. And yeah, enjoy your day. Have a great one.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much, Toby. Looking forward to come back to Hamburg soon enough.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the AlphaList podcast. If you like this episode, share it with friends. I'm sure they love it too. Make sure to subscribe so you can hear deep insights into technical leadership and technology trends as they become available. Also, please tell us if there is a topic you would like to hear more about or a technical leader whose brain you would like us to pick. AlphaList is all about helping CTOs getting access to the insights they need to make the best decisions for their company. Please send us suggestions to cto@alphalist.com. Send me a message on LinkedIn or Twitter. After all, the more knowledge we bring to CTOs, the more growth we see in tech. Or, as we say on AlphaList, accumulated knowledge to accelerate growth. See you in the next episode.
Dieser Podcast wird produziert von Podstars bei OMR.